Hello there, and welcome back to Sleepy Science. I'm so glad you're here tonight. Maybe you had a long day, maybe your thoughts are still running a little too fast, or maybe you're simply the kind of person who loves drifting off to the quiet hum of the universe. Either way, this space is yours. There's nothing you need to do right now, nothing to check, nothing to remember. You can let your shoulders drop, let your jaw soften, and just breathe. Tonight, we're not going anywhere in a hurry. We're going to drift, slowly, gently, through the most extraordinary place you will ever call home, the Milky Way, your galaxy, our galaxy. A vast, slow-turning spiral of over 100 billion stars, of ancient dust and dark matter, of secrets that have floated in silence for longer than the Earth has existed. We'll travel from its sweeping spiral arms all the way to its mysterious, beating core. We'll visit stellar nurseries where stars are being born right now, and we'll pass by the quiet graves of stars that burned out billions of years ago. We'll talk about rogue stars, flung alone into the dark, about a black hole sleeping at the galaxy's heart, about collisions so vast and slow they take billions of years to complete. Some of what you hear tonight might quietly surprise you, and some of it might simply carry you off to sleep. Both are perfectly fine. Before we begin, if these gentle explorations give you a peaceful way to end your day, a like or a subscribe means more than you know. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. Now, close your eyes if you'd like. Let the stars come to you, and let's begin. Fact 1. The Milky Way has already collided with other galaxies, and it will again. Our galaxy may feel like a stable, permanent home, but it is built from wreckage. Over billions of years, the Milky Way has pulled smaller galaxies toward itself, unraveled them, and scattered their stars into long, trailing streams that wrap around the disk like whispers of something that used to exist. One of those galaxies, the Sagittarius dwarf, is being pulled apart right now, slowly, silently, strand by strand. And far off in the night sky, the great Andromeda galaxy is drifting toward us. It will take about 4.5 billion years to arrive. When it does, the two galaxies will merge. Not violently the way you might imagine, but slowly, gracefully. Stars will almost never actually collide, but the shapes of both galaxies will fold into something entirely new. Even galaxies are not forever. Fact 2. Some stars in the Milky Way are older than the Milky Way itself. That's worth sitting with for a moment. High above the main disk of the galaxy, in a region called the halo, ancient stars drift in long, tilted orbits. Stars born before the Milky Way had fully taken shape. Astronomers believe these stars were born in smaller, primordial galaxies, galaxies that existed even before ours and were absorbed into the Milky Way billions of years ago. Their chemical makeup contains almost no heavy elements, no iron, no calcium, just hydrogen and helium, the raw, simple breath of the very early universe. These are the elders of the galaxy, moving slowly, quietly, high above everything else, like witnesses to a time before spirals even existed. Fact 3. Our solar system travels through the galaxy at over 828,000 kilometers per hour. That is more than 230 kilometers every single second. And yet, it still takes approximately 225 million years to complete just one full loop around the galaxy. This is called a galactic year. In all of Earth's history, we have only completed about 20 of these orbits. When the first dinosaurs appeared on Earth, our solar system was in a completely different part of the galaxy. The stars we see tonight were not the stars they saw. Everything is in motion, quietly, slowly, endlessly. Even as you rest right now, the Earth turns, the Moon circles, and the entire solar system sweeps forward through space, carried along in a galaxy that never truly stops. Fact 4. The Milky Way is still growing. Even now, tonight, as you lie still, the galaxy is gathering. Gas drifting in from the space between galaxies. Stars borrowed from captured dwarf galaxies. Invisible streams of dark matter settling into its outer edges. It grows not like a living thing, but like a gravitational structure deepening quietly over time. Sometimes this growth is peaceful, slow infilling clouds of gas settling into place. Other times it comes with disruption, a small satellite galaxy torn apart, its stars scattered like sand across the sky. The Milky Way you live in today is not the same one the dinosaurs knew, and the one your most distant descendants may call home could be larger still, stitched together from the remains of 1,000 smaller worlds. Fact 5. We don't actually know how many spiral arms the Milky Way has. It seems like something we should be able to answer, but from our position, buried deep inside the disk, it is extraordinarily difficult to see our own galaxy's full shape. Dust clouds block distant regions, stars blur together, entire sections of the spiral remain hidden from view. For a long time, astronomers believed there were 4 major arms. More recent observations suggest perhaps fewer, or that the arms bend and split in ways far more complex than a simple pinwheel. Some arms fade into fragments, others wrap around unexpectedly. The Milky Way may not be a neat, orderly spiral at all, but a living, layered swirl of stars shaped by forces we still don't fully understand. We live inside something extraordinary, and we are still learning its shape. Fact 6. Rogue stars are flung from the galactic core. Most stars drift calmly through the galaxy their entire lives, but a rare few are launched outward at extraordinary speeds, fast enough to escape the Milky Way entirely. These are called hypervelocity stars. Some are thought to be the survivors of binary star systems, 2 stars orbiting each other in a close, quiet dance, until one of them strays too close to the supermassive black hole at the galaxy's center. One star falls inward and vanishes. The other is flung outward, slingshot into the dark, traveling at over 1 million kilometers per hour. These solitary stars travel alone, far above the galactic plane, like glowing comets with no destination and no return. They remind us that even in a galaxy held together by gravity, there are moments of sudden, silent release. Fact 7. The Milky Way and the Andromeda Galaxy are on a collision course. On a clear, dark night, if you know where to look, you can find Andromeda with the naked eye, a faint, soft smudge of light in the constellation of the same name. It doesn't look dangerous, but it is moving toward us, slowly, steadily, across more than 2 million light-years of space. In about 4.5 billion years, the 2 great spirals will meet. It won't be a crash in the way we usually imagine. The stars are far too spread out for most of them to collide directly, but gravity will warp both galaxies into long, stretching arcs. Tidal tails will curl outward. The 2 central black holes may spiral slowly together. And after billions of years of slow, patient merging, something entirely new will exist where 2 galaxies once drifted separately. A single, larger structure, quiet and vast. The future of our home, written slowly across the stars. Fact 8. Some stars orbit the galaxy backward. Most stars in the Milky Way travel around the galactic center in the same general direction, a slow, shared rotation that has continued for billions of years. But not all stars follow this rule. Some, particularly in the outer halo, move in retrograde, orbiting in the opposite direction to the galaxy's main spin. These stars almost certainly arrived from somewhere else, born in smaller galaxies that were later absorbed into the Milky Way. Their reversed motion is the quiet signature of their foreign origin. The galaxy carries these ancient memories in its motion, stories of mergers and encounters from billions of years ago, preserved not in light, but in the slow, patient turning of stars moving against the stream. Fact 9. The Milky Way may have consumed dozens of smaller galaxies. Over billions of years, the Milky Way has not simply grown on its own, it has absorbed. Small companion galaxies drifted too close, were caught in its gravitational pull, and were slowly, silently dismantled. Their stars are now woven into our halo, our disk, our stellar streams. Astronomers have identified several of these ancient mergers by studying the motion and chemical composition of stars. One especially significant event, known as the Gaia-Enceladus merger, added an enormous number of stars and may have fundamentally reshaped the early structure of the galaxy. The Milky Way is not a pristine, original spiral. It is a composite, built from quiet collisions, stitched together from the scattered remains of many smaller worlds. Fact 10. The chemical makeup of stars reveals where they were born. Every star carries a unique fingerprint, a pattern of elements baked into it at the moment of its birth. Stars rich in iron and calcium formed in dense, metal-rich regions. Stars made almost entirely of hydrogen and helium were born when the universe was still very young. By reading these chemical signatures, astronomers can trace a star's entire history. They can group stars into families, uncover ancient mergers, reconstruct the hidden story of how the Milky Way formed. In this way, chemistry becomes a kind of time machine, and every star becomes a line of ancient poetry, written in light, waiting to be read. 10 facts in, and already the galaxy feels a little more alive, doesn't it? You are floating inside something ancient and extraordinary, a spiral of over 100 billion stars, still turning, still growing, still keeping its secrets close. Rest now. Let your mind drift between the stars. Fact 11. The sky above you is full of stellar streams from galaxies that no longer exist. If you could see the entire sky mapped with perfect precision, you would notice something extraordinary. Thin ribbons of stars stretching in long, delicate arcs across the darkness, barely visible, but unmistakable when traced carefully. These are stellar streams, the remnants of smaller galaxies that wandered too close to the Milky Way and were gently, irreversibly pulled apart. As their stars continued to orbit, tidal forces smeared them across space, leaving long, ghostly trails that trace the paths of galaxies that no longer exist as galaxies at all. Some of these streams wrap around the Milky Way like quiet halos. Others fall inward toward the core. They are evidence of every collision, every merger, every silent consumption that built this galaxy over billions of years. The Milky Way, like a great ancient tree, carries the rings of its entire past in every single thread of light. Fact 12. The Milky Way is warped. Our galaxy does not lie perfectly flat like a neat spinning disk. Its outer edges bend. One side curves gently upward, the other dips downward, forming a long, graceful wave across the stars. This subtle warp was invisible to us for a long time, until radio telescopes began mapping the hydrogen gas that stretches far beyond the reach of ordinary starlight. Astronomers believe the distortion may be caused by the gravitational tug of nearby satellite galaxies, pulling softly on the Milky Way's edges. Or perhaps by clumps of dark matter, bending the structure from below. Like ripples moving across a great spinning sheet, the warp reminds us that even galaxies are never fully still. They bend, they flex, they shift slowly in response to invisible forces. From a distance, the Milky Way might look like it is dancing. Fact 13. You can only see about 0.00003% of the Milky Way with the naked eye. On a perfectly clear, dark night, far from any city lights, you might look up and feel surrounded by stars, thousands of them, an ocean of light. But that ocean is barely a single drop. The Milky Way contains over 100 billion stars. Most are completely hidden from us. Some lie behind thick curtains of interstellar dust. Others are simply too faint, or too far away for human eyes to reach. The pale, hazy streak that crosses the sky on moonless nights, that softly glowing river of light, is just the faintest inner whisper of the whole. We live surrounded by a colossal river of starlight, and almost all of it remains invisible to us. Too vast, too too deep, too wide to grasp from within. Fact 14. Stars in the Milky Way orbit at different speeds, and that is why spiral arms exist. Unlike the planets in our solar system, which follow neat, predictable tracks around the Sun, stars in the Milky Way move with far more independence. Stars in the inner regions race ahead quickly. Stars at the outer edges drift more slowly. This difference in speed is precisely why spiral arms form. They are not solid structures, they are patterns, like slow, graceful traffic jams of stars and gas, moving through space in great, sweeping waves. As these density waves pass through, they compress gas and dust, triggering bursts of new star formation, lighting up the arms in curls of blue and white. Our own sun drifts in and out of these patterns across millions of years. The galaxy is not a clock, it is a current, and we are quietly drifting in it. Fact 15. The galaxy holds together because of something we cannot see. By all logic, the Milky Way should not exist. Based on everything we can measure, the stars, the gas, the dust, the outer edges of the galaxy are spinning far too fast. They should be flung outward into the void, scattered like leaves in a storm, and yet they remain. The answer is dark matter. This mysterious substance does not shine. It does not reflect light. It does not emit any radiation we can detect. And yet it exerts gravity, and there is so much of it that it outweighs all the visible matter in the galaxy many times over. We don't know what dark matter truly is. We only know that without it, the Milky Way would simply fly apart. It is the invisible scaffolding holding everything in place, the silent architecture beneath the beauty, the foundation of a home we can see but cannot fully explain. Fact 16. At the very center of the Milky Way, there is a supermassive black hole. Its name is Sagittarius A star, and it is more than 4 million times the mass of our Sun. 4 million times. Yet it occupies a region of space smaller than the orbit of Mercury. We cannot see it directly. No light escapes from within it. But we have watched stars near the galactic center whipping around an invisible point at tremendous speeds, tracing tight, silent loops through the void around something we cannot observe but cannot deny. Occasionally, clouds of gas fall inward and flare briefly in X-rays as they spiral toward the event horizon. For now, Sagittarius A star sleeps, but long ago it may have burned like a quasar, blazing with violent, brilliant light, illuminating the entire galaxy from within. It is the silent conductor at the Milky Way's heart, patient, invisible, and unimaginably massive. Fact 17. The center of our galaxy is shaped like a peanut. When astronomers turned their most powerful infrared telescopes toward the galactic core, they expected to find a smooth, rounded ball of ancient stars sitting at the center. What they found instead was something far stranger, a three-dimensional peanut shape. Seen from the side, the central bulge swells in the middle and narrows at both ends, like a twisting hourglass made entirely of stars. This unusual geometry likely formed from the galaxy's central bar, a dense, slow-rotating stripe of stars crossing the core, which over billions of years buckled and puffed upward under its own gravitational rhythms. We live in a spiral galaxy, but its heart is not simple or clean. It is intricate, layered, alive with complexity that took billions of years to sculpt. Fact 18. The Milky Way's spiral arms are not just made of stars. They are stellar nurseries, the birthplaces of suns. Giant clouds of hydrogen, dust, and cold molecules drift slowly through the galaxy. And when these clouds pass through the density waves of the spiral arms, they are compressed, squeezed together, until gravity takes hold and new stars begin to ignite. These regions glow with the light of creation. Ultraviolet radiation from newborn stars illuminates the surrounding gas, painting the spiral arms in radiant blues and silvers, like slow, permanent fireworks seen from billions of miles away. Every star you have ever seen in the night sky, including our own sun, was born from one of these cloudy, chaotic cradles. Long ago, in silence, in cold, and then light. Fact 19. The Milky Way is surrounded by a vast, nearly invisible halo. Beyond the bright, flat spiral disk we think of as our galaxy lies something far more diffuse, a spherical halo, enormous, dim, extending far out into the darkness in every direction. It contains ancient stars drifting in long, slow arcs, globular clusters like golden, tightly packed spheres of light, and enormous amounts of dark matter, so much that this halo may actually hold the majority of the entire galaxy's mass. You would never know it was there just by looking up, but it surrounds everything. It shapes everything. It also preserves the remnants of ancient mergers, streams and shells of stars torn from smaller galaxies long ago, left behind like cosmic fossils in the quiet outer dark. The halo is the galaxy's outer memory, still, dim, patient, but never truly empty. Fact 20. The Milky Way contains more than 150 globular clusters. Imagine a perfect sphere packed with hundreds of thousands of ancient stars, all gravitationally bound together, drifting through the halo like a slow golden lantern in the dark. That is a globular cluster, and they are among the oldest objects in the entire universe. Some are more than 12 billion years old. Many contain stars that formed before the Milky Way itself had fully taken shape. Their chemical makeup is simple, almost no heavy elements, because they were born when the universe was still too young to have forged them. They serve as time capsules, quiet, glowing spheres drifting above and below the galactic plane, holding within them the memory of how everything began. They have been orbiting longer than the Earth has existed. They will likely be orbiting long after the sun grows cold. 20 facts now, and somewhere between the invisible dark matter holding everything together and the sleeping giant at the galaxy's heart, I hope your mind is beginning to feel a little quieter, a little more distant from the noise of the day. You are a small, warm presence inside something unimaginably vast and ancient and beautiful. Let that thought carry you gently, like the space between thoughts. Fact 21. Star formation in the Milky Way is slowing down. Long ago, the galaxy was restless, bursting with energy. Dense clouds collapsed quickly. New stars ignited in rapid succession. The spiral arms blazed with the light of constant creation. But that era has passed. In recent cosmic time, the pace has slowed considerably. There is still gas available for star formation, but much of it is spread thin, heated, or locked in forms that resist the gravitational collapse needed to birth new suns. The galaxy is not done making stars, not even close, but it is settling. Astronomers estimate that star formation peaked billions of years ago and has been gently declining ever since. We live in a quieter chapter now, a mature spiral, glowing softly in its middle age, still creating, but no longer in any hurry, much like the feeling of late night stillness. Fact 22. Some stars in the Milky Way formed before the galaxy even had a disk. The broad, flat spiral we picture when we think of the Milky Way, the great pinwheel of stars and gas, did not always exist. It formed gradually, over billions of years. But some of the stars within our galaxy are older than that disk itself. These ancient stars reside mostly in the halo, or in a thicker, older layer called the thick disk. They formed during the earliest days of the galaxy, when it was still just a loose, collapsing cloud of gas, dust, and dark matter slowly pulling itself together. By studying their composition and the paths they travel, astronomers can peer back into that formless era, before structure, before spirals. These stars are the elders of the galaxy, silent witnesses to its birth, still burning quietly in the dark above and below the world we know. Fact 23. A galactic year is approximately 225 to 250 million Earth years. As the Sun orbits the center of the Milky Way, it traces an enormous path through space, a loop so vast that one complete revolution takes hundreds of millions of years. This is called a galactic year. In the time it takes the sun to circle the galaxy just once, entire continents drift across the Earth. Species rise, flourish, and disappear. Ice ages come and go. Mountain ranges are born and worn to dust. Right now, we are thought to be roughly halfway through one such orbit. The last time our solar system occupied this same position in its path, the supercontinent Pangaea had only just begun to break apart, and dinosaurs had not yet walked the Earth. A galactic year is the slow, deep heartbeat of cosmic time, and we are living inside one of its quiet beats. Fact 24. In all of its 4.6 billion years of existence, our Sun has only orbited the Milky Way about 20 times. 20. Despite traveling at nearly 830,000 kilometers per hour, the Sun has completed fewer galactic orbits than you might expect, because the galaxy is simply that vast. Each orbit takes hundreds of millions of years, and so, in the full sweep of the Sun's long life, it has only made this journey around the galaxy a small handful of times. We often think of stars as ancient, timeless, and well-traveled, but on a galactic scale, our Sun is still relatively young, still early in its long journey, a quiet newcomer in a city of far older, more traveled suns. We are part of the galaxy's story, but we are still in the early chapters. Fact 25. The Milky Way's rotation defies what classical physics would predict. According to Newton's laws of gravity, stars farther from the galactic center should orbit more slowly, just as the outer planets in our solar system move more leisurely than those close to the Sun. But in the Milky Way, that is not what happens. Stars in the outer regions orbit at almost the same speed as those near the center. The rotation curve stays flat when it should fall away. This defies everything classical mechanics would expect. The explanation is dark matter, an invisible, unknown form of mass surrounding the galaxy in a vast halo. Without it, the outer stars would drift away. The galaxy would unravel. With it, the mathematics works. The Milky Way turns like something held gently in an invisible hand, not because we fully understand it, but because something unseen is quietly keeping it together. Fact 26. The Milky Way contains enormous clouds of cold molecular gas, the raw material of stars. Scattered throughout the galaxy are vast, dark regions that absorb all light passing through them. From Earth, they appear as black patches against the starry sky, holes in the fabric of light, places where the stars seem to simply stop. But they are not empty. These are molecular clouds, composed mostly of hydrogen molecules and traces of cosmic dust. Some span hundreds of light years across. Within their cold, dense interiors, temperatures drop to just a few degrees above absolute zero. And in that profound cold and stillness, gravity begins its slow, patient work, gathering material, building density, until, eventually, something ignites. These dark clouds are the galaxy's hidden wombs, quiet, cold, and full of futures not yet born. Fact 27. When massive stars die, they explode with enough force to trigger the birth of new stars. These explosions are called supernovae, and they are among the most powerful events in the known universe. For a brief moment, a single dying star can outshine an entire galaxy of hundreds of billions of suns. But supernovae are not only endings. The shock waves they release ripple outward through the interstellar medium, compressing nearby clouds of gas, pushing material together until gravity takes over and new stars begin to form. At the same time, the explosion scatters heavy elements forged deep within the dying star: iron, calcium, gold, scattered into space to be gathered up by the next generation of stars and planets. Supernovae are the galaxy's great storms, destructive, radiant, and profoundly necessary. Death, quietly planting the seeds of everything that comes after. Fact 28. Vast regions of active star formation are hidden from us behind curtains of dust. The Milky Way is full of light we cannot see. Interstellar dust, made of microscopic grains of carbon and silicate and ice, weaves through the galaxy in long clouds and delicate tendrils. In visible light, it blocks entire regions of space, whole stellar nurseries, entire nebulae, hidden completely behind this cosmic veil. But behind that darkness, stars are being born right now. Infrared telescopes can pierce through the dust, revealing glittering nurseries filled with newborn suns blazing into existence. What looks like emptiness to human eyes is often a cradle. The dust that hides is also part of the process, absorbing energy, helping gas cool, shielding the delicate early stages of stellar birth from the harsh radiation of the outside universe. What seems like absence is often the very beginning of something bright. Fact 29. Not every cloud of gas in the Milky Way becomes a star. Across the galaxy, astronomers have found massive, cold clouds that appear ready to collapse and yet remain dark and completely still. Some are too diffuse, too spread out for gravity to take hold. Others may be stabilized by magnetic fields threading through them, or by turbulence churning within them, preventing the stillness needed for collapse. These starless clouds drift through the galaxy like silent possibilities, rich in molecular hydrogen, untouched by fusion, carrying within them the raw ingredients for suns and worlds, and yet waiting. They may one day ignite, or they may drift on until they are slowly torn apart by external forces, their gas recycled into other clouds in other corners of the galaxy. In these dark, patient clouds, the galaxy holds its breath, waiting perhaps for just the right nudge to spark something new. Fact 30. The Milky Way recycles matter across generations of stars. Nothing in this galaxy is truly wasted. Stars live, burn brilliantly, and die. And in dying, they return everything they were back to the galaxy. Supernovae spread heavy elements across vast distances. Aging red giants shed their outer layers in slow, glowing clouds. Planetary nebulae drift gently outward into space like smoke rings left behind by something that once burned. All of this enriched material joins the interstellar medium, where it cools, condenses, and eventually forms new stars, new planets, and perhaps new life. Every atom in your body has passed through this cycle, born inside a star, scattered into space in an ancient explosion, gathered again into new form. You are not separate from the galaxy, you are made of it. The Milky Way is not a static stage on which things simply happen. It is a great, slow engine of renewal. It breathes in time with its stars, making, unmaking, and beginning again. A long, peaceful silence. 30 facts. And somewhere between the dying stars that gave birth to new ones and the cold, dark clouds still waiting to ignite, I hope you feel it. That quiet sense of belonging to something far larger than a single day, a single worry, a single night. You are made of ancient stars, and right now, those stars are asking nothing of you, only rest. Gentle, unhurried, like a slow tide coming in. Fact 31. Some of the oldest stars in the Milky Way are living fossils, from before the galaxy itself existed. In the outer halo, drifting in long, slow orbits far above the galactic plane, there are stars whose atmospheres contain almost no heavy elements whatsoever. No iron, no oxygen, no carbon to speak of. Just the simplest, most ancient chemistry the universe has ever known. These are called metal-poor stars, and the most extreme among them, the hypermetal-poor stars, contain less than 1/10,000th of the iron found in our own sun. They are believed to be among the very first stars born after the earliest supernovae seeded the universe with its first traces of enriched material. By studying them carefully, astronomers can peer backward through time, past the formation of the galaxy, past the first galaxies, all the way back toward the universe's earliest dawn. These stars are not just old, they are fossils made of light, burning quietly in the dark, carrying within them the chemical memory of a universe still learning to exist. Fact 32. A star's birthplace does not always define its destiny. When a star is born, it does not stay where it came from. Over time, many stars drift far from their natal clouds, pushed gently by gravitational interactions, nudged by orbital resonances, pulled gradually by the slow, sweeping influence of spiral arms passing through. Some stars are flung outward at high speeds, scattered into the halo, or sent across the disk entirely. Others migrate slowly, their orbits shifting inward or outward across millions of years. Even our own sun is not where it began. Tracing the long paths of individual stars reveals a Milky Way that is anything but static. A galaxy alive with quiet movement and exchange, where home, for a star, may only ever be temporary, just passing through, much like the rest of us. Fact 33. The Milky Way may have its own habitable zone. You may have heard of the habitable zone around a star, that gentle band of distance, not too close, not too far, where conditions might allow liquid water and the possibility of life. The Milky Way may have something similar, a galactic habitable zone. The dangerous inner core of the galaxy is crowded with radiation, gravitational chaos, and the violent influence of the central black hole. The sparse outer edges lack the heavier elements needed to build rocky planets. But somewhere in between lies a wide, quieter band, where star density is moderate, where supernovae are less frequent, where elements like carbon, oxygen, and iron are abundant enough to build worlds. Earth lies within this zone, one quiet orbit in a vast galactic swirl where the conditions for complexity had just enough room and just enough time to unfold. Fact 34. The spiral arms of the Milky Way are not fixed structures. They are not walls, not permanent features carved into the galaxy's disk. They are patterns, density waves that ripple slowly outward through the galactic disk, like the rings spreading from a stone dropped into still water, but moving across hundreds of millions of years instead of seconds. As gas and dust drift into these waves, they are compressed. Stars ignite. The arms light up in brilliant blues and whites. But then those stars drift onward, out of the wave, fading slowly, and new stars form behind them. The spiral structure is self-sustaining, but never fixed, never solid. Stars drift into the arms, shine for a while, and drift out again. From a great distance, it looks like form and permanence, but from within, it is simply a pattern of shifting motion, held together by gravity and time, never still, always flowing. Fact 35. The Milky Way hums with invisible cosmic radiation. Beyond the narrow band of visible light that human eyes can detect, the galaxy glows with far more mysterious forms of energy. Cosmic rays, high-energy particles born in supernovae in distant galaxies, stream through space at nearly the speed of light. They pass through your body right now, every second, without you feeling a thing. X-rays shimmer from the edges of black holes and the collapsed cores of dead stars. Gamma rays flash from the most violent events in the universe. Radio waves drift outward from cold gas clouds, pulsars, and the quiet breath of hydrogen drifting through the interstellar medium. These invisible signals reveal what light alone cannot show: the violence, the magnetism, the ancient fires still quietly flickering within the galaxy's bones. When you look at the night sky, you are seeing only the thinnest sliver of what is truly there. Beneath the stars, the galaxy hums softly in many colors, many frequencies, a hidden symphony playing endlessly in the dark. Fact 36. Above and below the galactic core, there are two enormous bubbles of high-energy light. They are called the Fermi bubbles, and they stretch tens of thousands of light years above and below the center of the Milky Way, like two vast, ghostly balloons inflated from the galaxy's heart. They are invisible to human eyes, but in gamma rays, they glow with extraordinary brightness. No one is entirely certain what created them, They may be the remnants of a tremendous outburst from the supermassive black hole at the galaxy's center, an ancient eruption from a time when Sagittarius A star was far more active than it is today. Or they may mark an era of intense, rapid star formation that once blazed through the core, a starburst so powerful it left its signature on the galaxy's structure billions of years later. Either way, these silent, enormous structures drift above and below the stars we know, invisible, patient, echoing with the memory of ancient violence, wrapped in radiance far above the quiet spiral. Fact 37. Our solar system does not live inside one of the Milky Way's grand spiral arms. It sits in a quieter place, a smaller, calmer structure called the Orion Spur, a modest lane of stars nestled between two of the larger arms, the Sagittarius arm inward and the Perseus arm farther out. It is not especially dense, not especially dramatic, not a place where the most spectacular cosmic events tend to happen, and that may be precisely why we are here. In the relative calm between the galactic highways, massive supernovae are rarer, intense radiation storms less frequent, the gravitational disturbances that can destabilize planetary systems quieter and further apart. This gentle, unremarkable corner of the galaxy may have given life on Earth exactly what it needed most: time. Enough undisturbed, quiet time for complexity to slowly, patiently unfold. From the outskirts, the galaxy looks dramatic and radiant, but in this quiet spur, we found just enough peace. Fact 38. At the center of the Milky Way, there is a bar of stars crossing the core like a glowing bridge. When astronomers look toward the galactic center in infrared light, they don't see a perfect circular core of stars. They see an elongated bar, a thick, slowly rotating stripe of stars stretching across the middle of the galaxy, crossing from one side of the inner disk to the other. This bar rotates slowly, and as it does, its gravitational influence shapes the inner spiral arms, stirs gas, triggers new bursts of star formation, and slowly funnels material inward toward the supermassive black hole waiting at the very center. Bars like this are common in spiral galaxies across the universe. They form when stars in the inner disk drift inward and pile up along a central axis, and over time, they become stable, enduring structures, dynamic engines sculpting the galaxy's heart from within. The Milky Way is not just a spiral. At its core, it is a barred spiral, a shape within a shape, a secret hidden at the center of everything. Fact 39. The Milky Way belongs to a larger family of galaxies called the Local Group. Our galaxy does not drift through the universe alone. It belongs to a collection of more than 50 galaxies known as the Local Group, a small, gravitationally bound cluster moving together through the vast cosmic web. The two largest members are the Milky Way and the Andromeda Galaxy, each with its own collection of smaller satellite galaxies orbiting nearby. Scattered around them are dozens of fainter, dwarf galaxies, some barely more than loose collections of ancient stars held together by dark matter. The Local Group spans more than 10 million light-years, and despite those vast distances, its members are not drifting apart. They are bound together by gravity, linked by the invisible threads of shared motion and mutual pull. We are part of a family, quiet, widely spaced, but still, gently, connected. Fact 40. The galaxies of the Local Group are slowly moving toward one another. Despite the enormous distances between them, the galaxies of our cosmic neighborhood are not simply floating away into the void. Gravity holds them in a kind of slow-motion ballet, curving their paths, drawing them gently closer across millions of years. Some of the smallest galaxies already orbit the Milky Way like moons, looping and falling, slowly dissolving into streams of stars as tidal forces pull them apart. Others drift more independently, but remain tethered, caught in a web of shared gravitational motion that spans millions of light-years. Over immense stretches of time, this group may condense further. Galaxies may merge, fade, or be quietly absorbed into larger structures. It is not a static arrangement. It is a slow, gentle gathering, a family of cosmic islands drawn closer by time, by inertia, and by the long, patient reach of gravity. 40 facts now, and somewhere between the ancient fossilized light of metal-poor stars and the quiet, cosmic family our galaxy belongs to. I hope the weight of the day feels a little further away. You are resting inside a galaxy that hums with invisible light, that breathes with magnetic fields, that belongs to a family of worlds spread across millions of light years. And right now, all of that is simply turning slowly above you, asking nothing, offering only stillness. Fact 39. The Milky Way belongs to a larger family of galaxies called the Local Group. Our galaxy does not drift through the universe alone. It belongs to a collection of more than 50 galaxies known as the Local Group, a small, gravitationally bound cluster moving together through the vast cosmic web. The two largest members are the Milky Way and the Andromeda Galaxy, each with its own collection of smaller satellite galaxies orbiting nearby. Scattered around them are dozens of fainter, dwarf galaxies, some barely more than loose collections of ancient stars held together by dark matter. The Local Group spans more than 10 million light years, and despite those vast distances, its members are not drifting apart. They are bound together by gravity, linked by the invisible threads of shared motion and mutual pull. We are part of a family, quiet, widely spaced, but still, gently connected. Fact 40. The galaxies of the Local Group are slowly moving toward one another. Despite the enormous distances between them, the galaxies of our cosmic neighborhood are not simply floating away into the void. Gravity holds them in a kind of slow-motion ballet, curving their paths, drawing them gently closer across millions of years. Some of the smallest galaxies already orbit the Milky Way like moons, looping and falling, slowly dissolving into streams of stars as tidal forces pull them apart. Others drift more independently, but remain tethered, caught in a web of shared gravitational motion that spans millions of light years. Over immense stretches of time, this group may condense further. Galaxies may merge, fade, or be quietly absorbed into larger structures. It is not a static arrangement. It is a slow, gentle gathering, a family of cosmic islands drawn closer by time, by inertia, and by the long, patient reach of gravity. 40 facts now, and somewhere between the ancient fossilized light of metal-poor stars and the quiet, cosmic family our galaxy belongs to, I hope the weight of the day feels a little further away. You are resting inside a galaxy that hums with invisible light, that breathes with magnetic fields, that belongs to a family of worlds spread across millions of light years. And right now, all of that is simply turning slowly above you, asking nothing, offering only stillness.
Fact 41. The Milky Way's disk is not a single flat layer. It is two. From a distance, the galaxy's disk might look like one thin, uniform plane of stars. But look more closely, and you find that it is layered, textured. Like sediment slowly settled on the floor of a cosmic ocean, the thin disk is where we live. A wide, dense plain filled with young stars, open clusters, and active regions of star formation. This is the bright, familiar band of the Milky Way that crosses our night sky. But above and below it lies the thick disk, older, puffier, more diffuse. The stars here tend to be ancient, with fewer heavy elements in their atmospheres. They travel in orbits that are more tilted and elliptical, suggesting they formed under very different conditions, perhaps during the galaxy's turbulent early years, perhaps stirred into their current paths by ancient collisions. The galaxy's disk is not uniform, it is a record, a layered history of everything. Fact 42. The Milky Way is laced with an invisible magnetic field. You cannot see it, you cannot feel it, but it is there, threading through the entire disk of the galaxy, rising into the halo, weaving through the interstellar medium like an invisible nervous system running through everything. This field is weak by earthly standards, far weaker than the magnet on a refrigerator door. But over galactic distances, its influence is profound. It shapes the paths of cosmic rays streaming through space. It guides how gas clouds collapse and whether they form stars. It aligns dust grains, subtly polarizing the starlight that passes through them. It forms vast arcs above the galactic plane and twists into complex loops that even our best models struggle to fully explain. Studying it requires sensitive radio telescopes and years of careful analysis, but its presence is unmistakable. The Milky Way does not just glow with light. It breathes with magnetism, a subtle, silent pulse. Running through its bones. Fact 43. The space between the stars is not empty. It only looks that way between every star in the Milky Way. There flows a thin, complex mixture of gas, dust, and plasma known as the interstellar medium. Invisible to the naked eye, but alive with structure and motion. When viewed through radio and infrared telescopes, it reveals itself in astonishing detail. Vast filaments stretching across light years. Enormous bubbles carved out by stellar explosions. Cold, dense clouds where stars are slowly being born. Shock waves rippling outward from supernovae-like slow-motion tsunamis moving through the fabric of the galaxy. Supernova carve great cavities into it. Stellar winds sculpt it into shapes that drift and change across millions of years. The space between the stars is not a void. It is a shifting, breathing web of matter and magnetism. The quiet fabric from which galaxies are made, and from which, eventually, life begins. Fact 44. Every single second. Trillions of neutrinos pass through your body right now, as you lie still. These ghostly particles are produced in the nuclear reactions happening inside stars. From our sun, from distant supernovae, from cosmic rays striking atoms high in the atmosphere. They travel at nearly the speed of light. They have almost no mass, and they interact with ordinary matter so rarely that they pass through the entire Earth as if it were not there at all. Through rock, through water, through you, without leaving a single trace. Special observatories. Buried deep underground or beneath vast sheets of polar ice. Try to catch just a handful of them, watching for the rare, brief flash of light when one finally collides with an atom. Each neutrino carries information from places we cannot otherwise see. From the cores of stars, from the collapsing hearts of dying giants, from the most energetic events in the galaxy. Even as you rest, the galaxy is whispering to you. In particles, in silence, in lightless rays passing through everything you are. Fact 45. The interstellar medium is not calm. It is a turbulent, restless sea between the stars. The thin gas and dust that fills the galaxy is constantly stirred. Shock waves from supernovae ripple through it. Stellar winds push and compress it. Magnetic fields twist and redirect it. The motion of stars themselves disturbs and reshapes it as they pass. Temperature within this medium can vary wildly from one region to the next. Clouds stretch, fold, and fragment. Flows of material collide and mix on large scales. This creates a kind of slow-motion turbulence. A cosmic ocean churning quietly through the disk. Star formation, cosmic ray travel, the very evolution of the galaxy itself. All of it is affected by this restless, invisible sea. What looks from a great distance like calm, peaceful starlight, is up close a dynamic, rippling fabric shaped by invisible winds. And ancient, unending energy. Fact 46. The Galactic Halo may contain billions of rogue planets. Planets are not always bound to stars. Some form normally in the spinning disk of gas and dust surrounding a newborn sun, and are later ejected from their systems by gravitational interactions. Flung outward by a close encounter with another planet or a passing star, others may never have had a star at all. These are rogue planets, worlds adrift in the galaxy, cold, dark, entirely alone. Without a sun to warm them, their surfaces are frozen. Their skies permanently dark. Some may retain internal heat from their formation, enough to keep liquid water beneath thick icy shells. Studies suggest there may be billions of them scattered throughout the Milky Way, some drifting through the outer halo, where stars are few and the distances between them are almost incomprehensibly vast. They float unseen, orphans of the galaxy, following long, lonely paths through the darkness between stars, wandering forever through a universe that does not notice them. Fact 47. Interstellar dust grains dance to a magnetic rhythm. The tiny grains of carbon and silicate that drift through the Milky Way are not passive passengers moving only under gravity. They are influenced by the galaxy's magnetic field. In some regions, dust grains spin rapidly, emitting faint microwave light as they rotate. In others, they align themselves along magnetic field lines, subtly changing the polarization of the starlight passing through them. This alignment is so consistent and measurable that astronomers use it to map the structure of the galaxy's magnetic field across vast distances. Understanding these effects also helps scientists remove the magnetic signature from observations of the cosmic microwave background, the ancient light left over from the birth of the universe itself. Dust is not simply debris drifting through the dark. It is sensitive, responsive, quietly recording the invisible architecture of the galaxy around it, dancing in patterns only radio telescopes can read. Fact 48. Some stars carry the chemical fingerprints of neutron star collisions. When two neutron stars spiral together and finally collide, the result is one of the most violent and luminous events in the known universe, a kilonova. In the brief, blinding moments of this explosion, enormous quantities of heavy elements are forged: gold, platinum, uranium, rare earth metals that could not have been created any other way. These newly forged elements are blasted outward into space, mixing with the surrounding gas, eventually finding their way into new generations of stars and planets. Some stars in the Milky Way carry the unmistakable chemical signatures of these rare, ancient collisions, enriched in elements that could only have been born in the merging of two collapsed stellar cores. They are not simply luminous bodies drifting through the galaxy. They are record keepers burning quietly, carrying within them the residue of ancient cataclysms. The gold in the universe was forged in moments of extraordinary violence and scattered gently across billions of years into everything.